I'm pleased to speak to this motion, but I am staggered that in crowing about the positives of the NDIS, those opposite seem to have no idea of the harm being done to too many people as they struggle with plans and plan reviews. No one needs the National Disability Insurance Scheme until they do, and any of us could find ourselves needing to use the system. That was the case for Tony and Ken. They'd been together for many, many years before applying for the NDIS, and Ken's acceptance into it came a week after his death. Tony's experience at that time has put him off applying for himself now that he has his own disabilities. This should be a system that supports people, not scares them or frustrates them or reduces them to tears, but that is what it's doing. Here's a message I received on Friday from a woman who's been an advocate for her own child, supported other parents for years. She is formidable, but right now she is desperate. She says she feels like she's at breaking point, having had $35,000 cut from a plan, a 57% cut. She really is at the end of her tether and needing to seek support. Now, the NDIS is doing to some people what Robo-Debt did to many. It's pushing them to the edge. It's sending them for their own medication and mental health plans as they cope with the depression, the anxiety and the stress by supporting someone on the NDIS. The government cannot allow this to continue. You cannot ignore pleas of help from so many people. And it's the introduction of independent assessments, which are seen as a way of reducing costs, of making it harder to claim and taking away supports people are currently receiving. Stories like those in the Saturday paper this weekend that point to an agenda by this government to reduce the control people have over their own lives, that's the opposite of the aims of the NDIS. To get a snapshot of the current situation in the Blue Mountains and the Hawkesbury in my electorate of Macquarie, I've collected case studies, dozens of them in fact, in recent weeks, asking people about the good, the bad and the ugly. Some have shared the positives of the fact that when they do have funds for therapies, that can help with mobility, with emotional health, occupational therapy and exercise. Nathaniel from Winmalee says it's been a lifeline while he tries to fix his life. But there are way too many failures. One person pointed to going to numerous appointments with her sister and saying the same things over and over again, being stressed because the system is so hard to understand, and she says, "My sister cannot navigate it at all." A woman who manages 30 clients with primary autism said she faces with them review meetings with arrogant staff and spends hours unpaid counselling clients and parents because they didn't get the things that they needed. Another care worker has raised real concerns about being on the inside and seeing how clients are charged very high rates. Participants and carers talk about the high cost of reports, not just the cost of money, but the cost of time and the cost of stress. The plan review process is the source of much pain, gruelling, Lauren describes it as. Lack of transparency around plan reviews and having to spend hours emailing, phoning and attending appointments in the 2 months leading up to reviews, only to find that reports are ignored by planners. One describes planners who have no genuine understanding of disability and little sympathy for what often feels like a desperate situation. These are the sorts of comments people have given me. These are NDIS participants, parents and family members, or sometimes partners who cope with a lot. Parents talk about, I asked them what their worst day looked like, and this is some of the things parents told me. Aggressive outbursts and their other children being exposed to violence. Meltdowns from the moment their child wakes up to when he goes to sleep. Meltdowns was probably the most common used word in the case studies I was given. Waking exhausted, having been woken 4 times each night by their 8-year-old high-needs son who's constantly with them until he finally falls asleep at 10:30 and they go to bed anxious and worried about how to help him. Even when plans are good. Claire, who has a son with autism and ADHD, says on her worst days she wants to curl up and cry. In fact, lots of mums admit to crying at the end of the day or during the day for feeling like a failure. They talk about anxiety, stress, doubt and shame in not being able to provide the help their child needs. When someone says to me, "This is all too much, I'm a resilient person, but even I am getting broken," I know something is wrong. A system that is breaking people is a system that is broken. It can be fixed, but it's a test of whether those opposite really believe in the NDIS.